Okay, because I ground the valves, that's going to move the valves in further. You always need to check the valve lash, but since I know I've ground them, I know they're going to be too tight, so I know I'm going to have to grind the valve stems. What I did was I just went ahead and put this as number 2 side, and I'll do number 1 next. But this is the number 2 side, and I went ahead and put it on there, and I've already ground these. So it's 3 to 6, and it's just you're measuring the space in between the valve and the tappet. There's got to be some space there for expansion, otherwise when it warms up it'll actually leave your valve open a little bit. But so 3 to 6 thousandths on the intake valve, that's a 6, and it's definitely catching. The 3, holding the valve in, is completely loose in there, so we're good there. Same thing on the exhaust side is 11 to 14 is the spec. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this jug off, put the other one on, set the valve lash there, and then we'll come back. Okay, let's do some work with the piston rings here. In the package you get the instructions and then the rings. So this is the top ring, and just read the instructions. It's pretty simple how they go, how to distinguish which one is which and which way is up. Just going to get the piston ring in there, and then I'm going to use this piston to square it up some like that. And we want to check, hopefully you can see, there's the gap there. That needs to be between 10 and 20 thousandths. So there's a 12. Now they do get tighter as you move closer to the wall. Like they're not quite cut straight. And I haven't touched these, so that's the way they came. So here's a 20 thousandths, and it definitely grabs that, so we're good on that first ring. It is between the 10 and 20. Second ring, if you follow the instructions, there's a bevel here, so that bevel goes up. We'll just make sure we install it. I don't think it matters, but square it up. And it's definitely not a 20. The 20 won't go. And the 10 does go, so we are in between that 10 and 20. Just like we're supposed to be. Then you get the same thing. These oil rings they're just a flimsy little thing. You can check them, but I think it says they can go up to like 60 on the oil rings. I'm not even going to bother to check them. Let me see. Let me find a nice clean rag, and we'll get the piston rings installed on this piston now. Okay, let's try to get this oil ring set up on here. Step 1 says to install that with the gap above the expander area. Step 2 specifically says to install this direction. This is the top ring. Dropped into the top ring gap there, so carefully pull that out. what I've got is this center ring is overlapped there, and it shouldn't be. Just being very careful not to scratch the piston at all. I'm not at all familiar with these type of rings. These are a bit odd to me here. Okay, I got it. What I had to do was I wasn't reading the directions properly with the center ring gap above the boss there. This actually ring had to start over here, and then this ring will start, the bottom ring will start over here, sort of around the corner there. Okay, so then that looks pretty good. Okay, this one has the bevel. This is the second ring. So the bevel goes towards the top. So I'm just going to put this on, and then we'll stagger them right before we put them in the bores. You want to just expand these big enough to get them in there. They, they're hard steel. They can break. Okay, there's that second ring. Now the top ring, it is a moly ring. You can tell by this shiny face on it. And then there's no top or bottom on this, so, but it does have to grow into the top groove. Okay, so I will do the other piston, check the ring gaps, check the other piston, and then we'll install them after that. Okay, we will check the piston ring side clearance, which is just how much clearance there is between the ring and the piston. The top ring is 2 to 4, the other ones are 1 to 3. So that's a 2, that goes. That's a 4, that does not. Down here I can get a 2. I can't get a 4. I find a 3. A 3 should go snug. Yeah, I can almost get a 3 in there, so we're good there. This bottom ring, the 3 won't go. And the 2 does go. So we're good to go. I'll check the other piston now. Okay, this is one place where I definitely venture away from the manual. I'm going to zoom us out just a bit here. Okay, I'm going to install the valves now before I install the cylinders. And it's going to be, oh, so much easier. So this piece on first, the intake valve does get a seal, and it just snaps over the, oh, look at the old seal is in there. That just snaps over the valve stem. Get get rid of the old seal. The springs go with the tighter coils towards the head. So, I've got my handy dandy valve spring compressor. And this really is terrible if you try to install them while it's on the motor. This is so much easier. I'm going to compress that down until it fits in. Okay, that'll work there. So if you're not familiar with these, that can stay in there. Valve keepers. I'll show you real quick on this other one. Let's see. Okay, here's the exhaust valve. So this piece is the with the spring in between. Goes like that. These little keepers set in there. And then once you get it up like that, then that's what locks that on there. So, and that's what's really difficult here, is putting those in. If you can imagine trying to have your valve spring compressor and all your fingers and everything in there, it's terrible. I just dropped one of my keepers. Hopefully I can find it here. Okay, I found the keeper that I dropped. Now we can turn this like this. Oh, dumbass. I got sidetracked. Let's see, this is intake valve. I'm going to lube the stem up real good. Now, got to be careful going through the seal. It will tend to pop the seal right off of there, so kind of twist and push, and we're through the seal there. Okay, now let's turn it down. There you can see the top of the valve. So what I'm going to do is just try to drop these little keepers right in there. And they'll usually fall in without too much trouble. What do I do with them? Okay, that one went. Oops. Tighten up that glove on my finger a little bit there. See if I can get this one in. Looks like a pain in the ass, but if you've never tried to put these in while it's on the motor, I mean, this is nothing. Okay, that one went. There. Okay, once they're all the way in, pull that sucker out. There you go. Your intake valve is good to go. Now the exhaust is the same without the seal. Lube it up. Just set the valve in there. I guess one thing on the exhaust valve, you can, keepers, you can put the whole spring and keeper and base together all as one. Remember, the tighter coil towards the head. Then we can open this guy up. So there, I can get the whole assembly in there. Tighten it up till it fits, which it does. Push the valve up, and then we're back to dropping the keepers in. There's that one. Not quite right, but let's get the second one. See, I keep putting my head in the camera, don't I? Okay, this one. I can just get it to flip over into there. Okay, there it is. So that's it. Now, I've already got the bore lubricated. Let's go ahead and put the piston in. Now, one thing, make sure on this oil ring that you can see both of the colors there. And then I couldn't find anything for staggering the piston rings, so I'm just going to put them dead opposite of the wrist pin. And then this dot should go towards the PTO side, which would be same as the exhaust. So I'm going to lube this piston up a little bit. Actually quite a bit. Oil's fine here too. I've got this fancy lubricant. So just oil it all up. Stagger your rings again. Good there. And then you can piece of schmutz in there. Gently just lower the piston into the bore. Don't want to push it in yet. Then this is my cheapy ring compressor. Works fine for the most part. So we can open it up, get it over the piston, and then just start tightening it. All this is going to do is compress those rings so we can tap the piston down in. So snug that up under there. Now the inside of this was also lubed up very well. The inside of the ring compressor. Now with the handle of your hammer, gently tap. If it doesn't go, something's wrong. And that's what's wrong. We're missing an oil ring there, so we're going to loosen this up a little bit. Slide the piston up into there a little more. Ow! That just cut the shit out of me. Like a vicious little paper cut. Okay. Now, this goes right in. Nothing to it. And that is it for tonight. So, tomorrow we'll get these installed on the engine, and then that'll probably be the end of this video. So, we'll see you some more tomorrow.